Good evening and welcome to Elections Special Debates. My name is Patrick Amaran. Tonight, our focus is on Kawempe Division, where we have 5 contenders trying to vie for the parliamentary seat for the year 2026-2031. And Kawempe, if we remember, in March 2025, Kawempe by-election was inked, or is inked, in the annals of history, of Uganda's political history, as having been very controversial, but also very dangerous. Because many people were left nursing wounds, others in jail. Members of the Fourth Estate, the journalists, were not spared either. They were beaten, they were clobbered, they were thrown in jail, they were harassed. And so now, Kawempe is on our radars once again. And the contenders, 3 of them, are my guests this evening. We shall be looking into their manifestos and their strategies to make Kawempe better. Let me introduce my guest this evening. Let me begin with the youngest of all, and by the way, with a lot of respect, the FDC member who is vying to represent the people of Kawempe, Ismail Musitwa. Thank you so much for joining us, Ismail. Good evening.
Thank you, sir.
We also have in the house this evening, Farida Nambi, the NRM aspirant for Kawempe North. Farida, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. A warm welcome to you.
Thank you, NTV, and good evening, viewers.
And we have the incumbent, Elias Nalukola, Member of Parliament for Kawempe North and a member of the National Unity Platform. Elias, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much for inviting us. Dear viewers, enjoy the show.
Let me tell Uganda what I've just been able to see a couple of minutes back. When Elias Nalukola just joined here this table before we went on air, he was able to greet Farida and Ismail in that beautiful greeting that you know, Assalamu alaikum. And Farida also responded, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you. And they responded, peace be upon you. I felt like goosebumps on my body to see you greet each other in that very respectful Islamic or Arabic greeting, wishing Farida peace and her wishing you peace again. How I wish this continues like this, because peace is what Kawempe needs.
Yes, we need peace. And indeed, when we are contesting for, say, a political position, it should not be war. We should contest in such an environment meant to enhance democracy. Such an environment which allows the voters to appreciate our arguments, our views, our solutions to their predicaments. That can only be achieved when there is peace.
So what happens when I see the cool, the calm, and peace that's upon you, the 3 of you here? What happens when your supporters meet on the streets of Kawempe to start harassing each other? For heaven's sake, you are cool, you're calm, you're collected, you're greeting each other, you're wishing each other peace. What happens to the people who follow you?
The people of Kawempe have never fought. It's the members of the armed forces who always come to Kawempe and interfere.
Okay, we're going to get into that. But let me come to you, Farida, because I am humbled by the fact that you're very audacious to choose to come back in this election, having seen what happened on the 13th of March 2025 when the colleague here, Elias Nalukola, got a resounding victory. With all respect, your wounds are not yet even healed, you're back in it. What courage is this?
Thank you so much for that submission, which I don't entirely agree with. I petitioned that resounding victory and I won in court, and we are still at it in court. However, there were many irregularities you submitted when you began this show, with the fact that there was some peculiar issues that arose out of that by-election, no one can call it free and fair. And no one ideally benefited from it. I also want to submit on the issue of peace that I also call for peace as we contest, because we must leave room for unity amongst our normal beings, because politics aside, you can find that we are family friends, we are friends, we are neighbors. We cross each other's paths in one way or another. So we want to contest based on good thoughts that can cause change in the people's well-being that we wish to serve. Service is about servanthood. I also want to particularly send kudos to the people of Kawempe North that have supported me through this journey up to where I am. And I can assure you, there's really good things coming ahead in my way.
Ismail, with all respect, I'm sure this is your first time to vie for the MP's position?
This is my second time.
Your second time, I'm sorry about that. But yes, you're standing on the ticket of Forum for Democratic Change.
Yes.
These two colleagues of yours for whom you are wrestling to represent the people for Kawempe are titans in there, with all respect. But if I may use the biblical analogy, are you the David, which I'm sure it must be also in the Holy Quran? Are you the David? Are you the Dawood who can put down the Goliath?
Okay, what I can say is that to be called a warrior, it's about your heart, that brave heart. So for me to come and contest in this by-election, I'm totally sure that my intention is about to change my constituency by speaking about what is happening in the constituency, and also to advocate for some of the things which are hurting the Ugandans. And I'm totally sure that if Kawempe people lend me their ear, I'm sure they can rally behind me, and then we move our constituency ahead. As you know that Kawempe has suffered a lot. There has been fighting, actually starting from Honorable Segrinya's reign. You saw what happened. We didn't have that good representation. And then now, we went into a by-election. What happened is still fighting. So meaning that we lack that representation we need as a constituency. So, and the only person, the uniting factor, is the David, that is the Msitu Ismail. So I'm totally sure that in this by-election, if Kawempe people lend me their ear, they hear what I'm going to tell them, I'm totally sure that I'll make it. So I don't fear them. I have that courage.
Ismail, Kawempe, just like the rest of Uganda, majority of the people are young people. There's a problem of unemployment.
Yes.
People are redundant. Some people feel excluded. Some people are hurting, and most of them are young. So Ismail, what would you do for the unemployed who are bitter, people feeling out of place, excluded people, young people of Kawempe? What would you do for them?
Yeah, number one, I'm also young. So that means that I can relate with them well. And there are some interventions actually we have to advocate for. Number one, we are seeing that we are living in a technology evolving globe. So for me to help these people, one thing is to make sure that at least we tap in this technology. We make sure that at least people get free internet. Remember now, most of our youth, they get employment on internet. Some of them are creators. Others, actually, they are professionals like me, whereby they do their work on internet. But the challenge we have is that internet is so expensive in Uganda.
But the majority of the people who have these phones in the palms, in their palms, are actually not using them for good. In fact, there's a lot of computer power in our palms. Yes. Majority of us in the world, we don't know even how to use it. People could be using internet to abuse each other, to be on TikTok, to do satire and stuff like that. It's not that there is no data, with all respect. Quite a number of them have data, but for those who have data, what are they using it for?
The challenge is about mindset change. But internet has a lot of privilege for us, like the youth. But now the government has not taken an initiative of giving these people that civic education on the way how they can use internet to benefit themselves. Let me give you an example. Right now, for me, I'm benefiting from internet. I am not employed by any university, but I do lecture university students using internet at home. You understand? So meaning that I can get an extra income. When we talk to our youth about all these privileges, how they can use internet to benefit themselves, that would be the best way to go. Because right now, we are seeing that many youth, they graduate out of the university, but many are absorbed into the job market.
Okay.
What happens to those who are not employed?
Let me come to you, Farida, because the issue of youth unemployment in Uganda is a big deal. In fact, quite a number of youth are into the border economy. Border is not bad, it's good, but also some of them are not there, not because that's what they have chosen. So yeah, you are an NRM member. We have these big numbers of unemployed youth, and sometimes we hear we don't only have an employment problem, but even those who are graduating are unemployable. What would you do for Kawempe, for such people?
I would like to start by thanking President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for the 800 borders that he sent last week to the border circles. On our side of Kawempe, we received
800 borders to Kawempe?
No. On our side as Kawempe, there were several, nationwide. Okay. There were several border circles that received borders from him. And I also want to commend Microfinance Support Center for the border loans that they are giving to help the people in the border sector. They've been taking their IDs for huge loans, against huge loans, or to borrow borders, or if you take a border for 5 million, you have to pay double or triple that amount of money. So that has put down some pressure in the border sector. I was actually in Chebando 2 days ago, and I saw how they were distributing them, because I'm mandated to follow and verify that circles. Out of the 800 borders we got as Kawempe, we had 23 circles that received these borders. I can actually, first of all, tell you that they're offering real employment to these people. In Uganda, we have classes of people, those that are fully educated, those that are partially educated, those that are not educated, and many of those, for the border people who choose, some of them are actually educated, and that is part of the other job that someone does. For instance, they are a farmer and sold a border rider. So border is not something to be ashamed of, like you have submitted here.
No.
So I want to talk about...
I want you to understand, Farida. Yes. I said it's good. I have no problem with border. I said it's a good employment. But there are those who are there, not because that's what they have chosen.
I've seen some of them, the educated ones, someone's accountant.
There are those who are there, not because that's what they have chosen, but because that's how the circumstances have pushed them into it.
That's true.
And now when you bring 800 borders, it means you want to keep them there. But they would want to go a bit higher.
There are those that choose to do the border. I want to tell you, border has given relief to our economy in so many ways. And part of it supported transport. You know that very well. There are people who can afford 5,000 shillings versus a taxi hire of 20,000 shillings, for instance, or a bus hire or whatever. So it has given an alternative way of transportation. But I wanted to still talk about youth unemployment. As a person in the government, in this government of NRM, I want to look at the programs that we are offering currently. For instance, the parish development model offers 30% of the money to the youth. So as a member of parliament to be 2026, I would like to follow to see how have the youth, first of all, do they have representation on the PDC, that's the Parish Development Committee? Are they there? Is the youth parish head on that committee to see that they follow, to see that other youth are benefiting already in that sector?
So
let me add something small. I would want to say that PDM is going to be increased to 300 million, yeah, and that means the youth will be taking 100 million out of that money. So I want to know which are those 100 youth that will benefit. So the issue is about transparency and good monitoring to see that there are actually 100 people that have received the 1 million. You can't compare that to nothing.
So let me ask, for example, when you are moving around Kawempe in a particular parish, what's the population of a particular parish in Kawempe?
There are some issues that are going to be...
okay, the people are in thousands, tens of thousands.
Yes, I'm telling you.
You know that.
Yes, I know.
And you're going to bring 100 million in tens of thousands of people, and you think that's going to jumpstart the economy of Kawempe?
It was 100 million. It has gone up to 300 million.
Yes, but 100 will go
and we can
to the youth.
still lobby for it to become 500 million. But this is the issue. There has to be the youth monitoring to see that other youth are benefiting. That is the one thing I would want to submit in this.
All right. Mr. Nalukola, what is your strategy? How do you see the issue of unemployment, which is hanging on the sword, like on the necks of everybody, like this, the proverbial sword of Damocles, about to cut people? How would you deal with it, this unemployment issue, especially among the young people in Kawempe?
Early this year, I alluded, and indeed I lamented, that 7 out of 10 youth in Kawempe are not only unemployed but also unemployable. If you want the youth to construct their future, you don't have to give them money, handouts, no. Equip them with skills and tools. They will make their future. PDM has nowhere to go. What we can do is to go for vacation skills. They must be given skills, the youth. And then you have to find a way of cooperating between, that we need a private-public partnership where you engage the proprietor of a workshop, say somebody who is welding, you talk to that person, you agree. How much money should you inject as government so that many other youth can be brought on in that workshop?
Do apprenticeship at that workshop.
They learn. After learning, you give them a toolbox to go and initiate their businesses. That's how we can fight.
But you said something very critical, Mr. Nalukola, that they are not only unemployed, but they are also unemployable. Unemployable in what sense? And if they are unemployable, is it the attitude? What is it?
We have to do away with negative attitude. We have to cause a change. We have to show them that attitude determines altitude. In most cases, the younger people out there do not want to volunteer. And when you volunteer, you learn. Imagine a young man or a younger woman who is just graduating from an institution, is a journalist, and works under Patrick Kamara. Don't you think that person will learn?
I don't know. Maybe it will be a failure. I don't know.
If you choose to fail him.
But where do you blame the issue? Because that's more of a value issue. That our value system, when your attitude is poor, when your work ethics is bad, when you I cannot trust you, when you're not respecting time, when you are arrogant, who is going to teach those values?
Us.
Who is going to us? Meaning
it is our responsibility. We, the leaders, we, the grown up in our communities, the parents, the teachers, we need to cause a change by not only giving out money like it is being done by NRM. NRM thinks that when you give out the handout, it will change, but that is not enough. Without a skill, you cannot initiate a business. When a young man receives 1 million without a skill, we'll go and enjoy the entire night.
Farida, you have a point.
I would like to inform Honorable Nalukola that State House has been handling the presidential skilling program. It takes actually 6 months. I'm sure NTV you've covered. So there are several vocational schools that are already licensed in the Ministry of Education. So the country is already taken that path. But I also want to say that we're working towards opening the very first kind of ghetto skilling school, basically in Kawempe, the first of its kind. And if it works out, we'll roll out that program to cater for the people that have been in the depots. We call them depots. In Kawempe, we have more than 30 depots, more than 100 ghetto commanders. These are young children who left home, went into scrap. After scrap, they followed a gali, we call it a gali, a gang. And they got a commander, and then, you know, they survive somehow. So I also agree, though, that you first skill and then give funding. So, for instance, if it's a 6 months course, you skill, give a funding.
But these ghetto commanders you're talking about and the gang they are staying in, what kind of character are you building? What kind of morals are they? What kind of work ethos and ethics and integrity do they have? Because you could be busy protecting the gains of the gangs.
What I want to tell you is, of course, it's a responsibility of government to push forward all its citizens in the different categories that they fall. I find myself in Kawempe North, and Kawempe North, this is not my first time. I was in Kifumbira slums. You know my story of the Nambi Children Initiatives. I'm not new to these ghettos, but these are children who have got partial or no nurturing at all. They've sort of street nurtured themselves and got into these depots and stuff like that. We need to embrace. But you see,
for you, unlike the rest of the people on this here on this panel, is that you come from a party that is in power. Mm-hmm. And not in power for 5 or 10 years, in power for 40 years. All these people you're talking about, the ghetto commanders and the children they command, were born in the NRM government. They are the children of the revolution. What happened?
I want to tell you that the ghettos, partially when I began NGO work in 2001, I thought that it had to do with rural-urban migration, because I started in Kifumbira slums, Katanga. We did a lot of work there in the NGO to see how to uplift these ghetto people. But after that, you know, those unplanned neighborhoods. So people are there, and they're quite many. But now they have their own homes called depots. And that is one category that I would like to speak about. And I'm very glad we are finalizing, opening the very first. And to me, coming from the Nambi Children Initiatives is a very great milestone that I would like to see through, that now ghettos can be trained. And these not only training, they need psychosocial support, they need rehab support. So it's like an umbrella kind of intervention that needs to be done. But for these other youth, I still also concur that you should skill and then give this kind of facilitation to get some of this startup capital. And for sure, government is on course on that, Ismail, in practical terms.
Ismail, you are a young person. I'm saying this with a lot of respect. But you also know there is a silent epidemic in Uganda today, and especially in the informal settlements we call the ghettos. Yeah. The young people are hooked on the drug. If you go to our main institutions, they are full to capacity. Right now, guys are blowing in Jaga and other things that are destroying their minds. How do you get the people who are hooked on the drug? And by the way, this is not a Kawempe issue. Somebody can be in Buziga and in Kololo and whatever, including children of the well-to-do, of the ministers. They have their minds gone. If you go to Butavika today, and you have somebody maybe who has an issue with alcohol and drug abuse, you may even find it hard to find a ward where to be admitted because the place is full. We have a problem on our hands. How do we deal with this?
Number one, actually, let me first talk about these ghetto structures which they are doing. My query is, why is it that they are doing these things towards the election? Is it out of good heart, or maybe there is something which is hidden behind that? Because we are seeing that these are the youth they mainly employ in their gari, which they call a gari, that gang which follows politicians. So, meaning that they are saying that they get these people, rehabilitate them, and then give them funding, and also skilling them. Now, one thing we should know, that things concerned with mindset change and rehabilitation, it takes time. You can't just do it within a month or 2 months, and then you say that someone has been, or someone has transformed. These are the very youth they get on their gari, then after they go and cause commotion, they steal people, they do all sorts of evil in the community. My intervention would be that in areas where we have these people struggling with drugs, struggling with sort of any substance abuse, it would be better we as leaders, we get what we call the social support groups for them. Because these people, they need rehabilitation, they need to be talked to, they need that reassurance, they need that counseling, so as to transform and also leave those drugs they are taking. But that is an initiative of leaders to do in their constituencies.
Honorable Nalukola, do you appreciate the fact that we have a silent epidemic of drug and alcohol abuse in Uganda? And it's not in the Kawempe, even places where I come from, even Mawa villages, I come from Kyenjojo. It is a problem is there. And we are largely a young country, which means the young people are hooked. And if we are not careful, 10 years from now, we could be another, Colombia of sorts.
It's a clear indication that indeed General Museveni and his colleagues have mismanaged the affairs of this country. No wonder he's distributing borders in the course of campaigns, like we have heard from his candidate in Kawempe North. That evil, the regrettable development, is partially attributed to poverty. The parents of those youth cannot afford education. The parents of those youth cannot afford to make their children live a decent life. That is the cause, my brother. The misrule by General Museveni has caused confusion in several institutions. Even in this debate of ours, we would be discussing the role of a member of parliament, and that is provided for under Article 79 of the Constitution. The cardinal role is to legislate, but Mr. Patrick Kamara is here asking us questions in regard to...
Yeah, but that is representation. Another role is representation, to legislate and appropriate.
Yes.
It's within your role of representation, the people you're going to represent.
Yes, you are right. As a leader, you cannot just look away. Of course, when you go to Kawempe North or any other ghetto, You observe the status, you contemplate, you get to know that the role of a member of parliament is beyond legislation and what is provided for under the constitution. Why? Because of the misrule by General Museveni. They call upon the youth. Actually, I associate myself with the submissions of my brother Musitwa. They call them in the course of elections, campaigns. No wonder they caused the evils at Kawempe in the course of the by-election.
You know what has just happened in Bukomansimbi?
Yes.
What?
A certain NRM supporter is nursing wounds.
Because a new person attacked him.
I'm not sure.
It can't be NRM attacking NRM anyway.
I'm not sure.
But what I'm trying to say that violence can be on the same side.
Yes.
Because we are having, well, probably not, I'm yet to really find out, my reporters are following it, that a new person decided to stab an NRM person somewhere in Bukomansimbi.
And indeed, this government has failed planning for the young people.
But when we are still at that, when you ask the 100 million that is given as parish development model project, including the borders that are given, the young people are listening to you, Honorable Nalukola,
yes,
who have received that 100 million, who have received that border, to hear you talk ill about it. I tell you, in their homes where they are right now, you're not the kind of person they'd want to support.
Thank you. But let me tell you something. How significant is the 100 million?
Oh, it may not be significant to Nalukola. Even 100,000. It is so significant.
Let us discuss that. In Kawempe North, we have over 200,000 voters. We have 9 parishes. Averagely, it means every parish has at least 20,000 voters. I'm talking about voters, not residents. We are not considering children. In one zone, the moment you present a paper that you list your names here, you are going to benefit from PDM. You may have it from one village, over 1,000 people.
Yeah, but is it a good idea? Is it a good idea?
And again, imagine.
Honorable Nalukola,
let me make this point.
Like Farida is telling us that NRM is considering to put 300 million to cater for the numbers in urban areas because there are many. If 300 million comes to one of the 9 parishes of Kawempe and the young people, women and men, who are going to receive this money, that money will change. That money will add value to their lives. You would better
those are our wishes. But I've already made a very important point. You know, when you give 1 million shillings to a young man, when that young man is not equipped with any skill, that young man will eat that money. Let me tell you something. As a potential MP for 2026-2031, yes, the issue would be, how do you hone the good project and make it better? When you legislate, you don't talk about remove it, you talk about how you make it better. Like they are saying, how do you enhance it? That's what
how do you protect it?
I said if that money is to be useful, it must be given out to those with workshops who can nurture the young people's talents, the young people's skills, and make them use those skills.
Okay, Farida, clearly, the colleagues whom you are contesting for the position of MP, have a feeling that you are using these young people as a pawn in your political game.
I'll speak about myself. You know my background. In Luganda, we came. That's my journey. And leadership to me is servanthood. So, but after having said that, I want to clarify something on PDM. PDM has been honed to people that have existing businesses. So this idea that Honorable Nalukola is trying to front, that we give, PDM is given, is thrown to anybody. No. It's given to someone who has, and that business is inspected, it is verified from KCC, and they know that that is where you work from, either these people who make chapatis, or it's women who have street vendors vending some, and it makes a huge difference in their businesses. So that is the formula.
I can imagine somebody who is making
PDM.
a chapati business,
and it's a good
100
thing.
million
It's a
is
good
such a big
thing.
boost.
It has benefited Ugandans, and it's something that actually people are very proud of. We just need to increase the money, and I'm glad to inform the country that there are measures that are going to be taken to improve PDM in urban areas. For instance, it's going to expand on the number of businesses that you can qualify to earn that, to be given that 1 million. It was street vending, and they could particularly sell fruits, vegetables. So it had its own cluster. But now that is going to be scrapped, and it's going to be opened so that many people, especially our youth, can benefit. Because the reports that we are receiving, 20% nationwide are the people, that the youth that have benefited. So we want, we as government would like to expand that youth receiving, since we're a young continent and a young country. But also, there are several other initiatives that are coming up to support the youth, especially youth and leadership, the leaders of youth. They're getting SACCOs from the Microfinance Support Center, and also people of different categories are registering SACCOs with the Microfinance Support Center, and they are given loans at a very affordable interest, annual interest, something like that. So I would like to say that, for instance, we have the best intention for the youth. We know that this is a youthful country. Any person who is a good leader would know that this is something that you need to put your effort on to make sure that they are transformed.
Ismail, clearly you can see Farida and people who think like her are convinced, parish development model has been a game changer for Uganda and for rural Uganda, and many are inclined to believe so. What do you make of that?
Yeah, my take is actually I concur with Honorable Nalukola. It would be better for these people to be given that handout with skills. Let them first acquire those skills, and then they are given that money. And also another thing is there is no equity in giving out that money. There are some allegations mostly in my parish, Komamboga, where people allege that you have to first subscribe to NRM so as to receive that money. That cannot
be true.
That's
an absolute lie. Unless you want us to get lists of NUP and FDC who have received the money. So, and we can gladly
that is also another challenge about PDM. It could be a good initiative.
PDM is non-partisan.
It could be a good initiative if there is no, like, you have to come from this party to receive it. You understand? And another thing would be that if they do that thorough monitoring and evaluation of that program, that would be better. Because most of the youth, they are given that money and they just take it into bars to drink it.
Elias, Farida, and Ismail, gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break, and on the spot, or the special debates, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Election Special Debates. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight, I have Elias Nalukola, Farida Nambi, and Ismail Mositwa. All these are contesting for the position of Member of Parliament, Kawempe North, and we've been looking to the issues of young people. But I just want to look into the economy. When you listen to some economic analysts and policy analysts, and they look at Uganda, the macroeconomics seem to be growing. The economy, exports are growing. There's no doubt the economy is growing. If you look at what it was, the GDP, and how it is growing and how it is projected to be. But the problem is that the individual family, individual livelihoods, people feel, the poverty, the pain. What can we do? What explains that in your view? That the figures are showing us we're growing. In fact, if you even look at the exports of coffee alone, it's a huge difference. If you look at gold and others, there's a huge difference. But then there's still poverty in individual homes.
But before I answer that, let me say something, just half a minute. PDM is tainted with corruption. If you are to receive that money, you have to pay Chintu Chidogo. I've met my voters in Kawempe North. They have revealed. Secondly, Hayat Nambi has made it clear PDM is not for the unemployed. It's for those with businesses. So the unemployed youth out there, you are not entitled to any money from this arrangement. I've answered that. Then the question you have just posed, I thank you for that question. When we go into economics, you know income per capita. When you are calculating income per capita, you make a summation of all incomes in the country, and then you divide by the population. What you get is the income per capita.
Yes, but
the highest earner and the lowest earner. Well, you know, the reason as to why individuals are languishing on the lonely island of poverty is largely attributed to an equal distribution of resources.
But let me ask this. I know GDP can be calculated in that way, the summation of all, and then you divide. But look, if we look at a crop like coffee,
yes,
which is bringing in a large amounts of money.
Yes.
Coffee is not grown by huge plantations. Coffee is a crop for individual farmers in Masaka, in Bushenyi, in Kenyoyo. It's homes, 1 acre, half an acre. So, and even a kilogram of coffee can actually give you money. So you cannot say that this money is maybe concentrated in a few hands, because the biggest earner for us is coffee. And coffee, it's not like we have huge plantations as a Madivani or a Meta or whoever. No, these are individual families who should be having pockets.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coffee is grown on land. If you are landless, you can't grow coffee. If you want to earn from coffee,
it's a peasant crop.
If we want to earn, not now, if you want to earn from coffee, you must be able to buy fertilizers. You must be able to pay workers. If you go for value addition, you must be having capital. You see? So without money, you can't get money.
Even
without
the raw beans,
yes,
as kiboko,
yes,
if you understand coffee, 1 kilogram,
yes,
at one point went almost 15,000.
Yes.
So even somebody who has a half an acre,
yes,
because I think it's 2 seasons in a year of coffee, should be able to have money. Because as opposed to say, if money is being brought in by gold, because there's a few people who have gold, if money maybe is for the cattle ranchers because there are a few ranchers, but coffee is a crop that can be distributed across, because it's a crop of a peasant. So and we have seen it from 4 million bags to now 8 million bags. They want to go to 10 million, 20 million bags.
I've heard from you saying that majority of the Ugandans are youth, over 70%. Indeed, our average age is around 17 years. Now tell me, how many youth have land? Even their parents and grandparents have lost land because of the activities of land grabbers backed by those in government. How many people can get money in terms of loans at low interest? And when the government is giving favors, they are entitlements of the investors. Many of them are from other countries.
Let me come to you, Farida, because on one hand, the NRM government is lauded and commended for growing the economy, for growing the exports. You now want to give us the tenfold growth to take us to $500 billion economy. And perhaps it is within sight. But as the economy grows, if you go in those areas, in the Bukoma Simbi, let me bring something that could be closer to you. If you go in those areas, you realize that people are still grappling with poverty, and yet the economic figures are glorious. How do you reconcile the two? Poverty in individual homes and economic growth, macroeconomic growth.
I would like to submit that we need to have a youth mindset change, orientation and mentorships, hubs. It all started, I'll go back to 2001, where I analyzed and researched what is the issue. Youth would sell land in the village, come, some lucky ones get a boda and start that there.
So wait, Farida, you started analyzing these things in 2001?
When I joined, after when I started my work.
That's like 25 years ago.
Yes, yes.
But you look 26.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. Now, I want to tell you, it's not true that our countrymen are landless. That's not really true. Many of our families back in Butambala, where I come from, you could see most families have their piece of land. It could be small than the next neighbor, but they had a place where they called home. They had some place where they would grow coffee. In Buganda, we applaud very much the Katikiro of Buganda saying that Emwaniterimba, you know, and he's encouraging people to leave the urban centers, go back in that small chunk of land and grow some coffee. And I really applaud the Buganda Kingdom initiative of Emwaniterimba, and it is helping a lot of youth, and that is mindset change. Someone who thought that there is gold in a boda can be told that go back and grow. So the solution to me is in sectors that do employ a vast amount of people, and that's agribusiness. If we could hone agribusiness for our people, we could find a solution for mass employment. I also applaud companies and corporations that work with the youth, young people, and they grow in their careers. But still, you know, that sector alone cannot take the large numbers of the youth that we have. Then we have industrialization. Yeah, I don't want to lament, but I know we're on the journey of causing solutions and honing what we have to create mass employment amongst the youth. Yeah. So,
Ismail, if you realize we are a blessed country, probably the biggest arable land in East Africa, is the biggest chunk is in Uganda. If we, as Ugandans, put our minds to agriculture at the best as we could, we can deal with it, and no other country in the neighborhood can even dare to compete with us, because we are already miles ahead in terms of where God has placed us. So what do we need to do, really, to make agriculture work so well that the rest of Africa will just, if whatever they want, they just come to Uganda, because God has already put us ahead, miles ahead.
One thing I can say, number one, there is an equal distribution of resources in Uganda, including land. You might find one person who is able, or maybe in government, having like miles of land, meaning that many are being displaced and they don't have where they can grow their crops. Another thing is...
So you are suggesting land is given free, how? From who?
No, land is not given free, but there is an issue of land grabbing. People are being chased out of their land. Another thing is you might find that one person can come and takes over miles of land, meaning that one person will have the wealth of about 1,000 people.
But there are really very rare cases where somebody just comes and grabs land and everybody is quiet. Where?
Most of them are not, by the way, getting justice in court. We have seen these things, but I don't want to go deep in that. Another thing is we would have benefited in our agriculture, for example, coffee, but the challenge we have is that most of our people, they don't have the capacity to export this coffee, meaning that they have to sell it to these people who have this capacity to export it, meaning that they are going to be exploited. You might find someone with a kilo of coffee being given around 500 shillings. You understand? Because they don't have that capacity to export it. When we export that coffee, that means that we shall get higher returns. But now we are having many people, they don't have that capacity to do so. And also another thing, when we look at our industrialization, yes, it is a good thing, but the challenge we have that most of our investors who come in our country, most of them exploit our people. Number one, by paying them less. You might find someone working in a factory, at the end of the day goes back with 300,000. How do we expect those people to get out of poverty? Meaning that this person is going to get that whole wealth, you understand, a lot of profits by marginalizing or exploiting these people. So there is no way you're going to see that there will be equal distribution of resources.
Okay. So
just to add something very small, my president, General Rikagta Museveni, has demonstrated the 4-acre model. Vehemently, passionately. You remember when he was laughed at when he had a bottle of water and he was irrigating, showing the localized way of irrigation. But on a very serious note, I think agribusiness can take on a huge, can be a great source of employment and a huge source of household income for our people. And the value, value addition can be channeled through industrialization.
Yeah, but you see, whereas value addition is good, agribusiness is good, General Museveni has been talking about it, but I'm wondering why can't we walk the talk? Because the issue, I've heard value addition from President Museveni from way back, even when I'm in school.
Exactly.
Yes, but then we should see value being added. Until like a few months back or years back, I would see Kenyan trucks come to deep in Mwende, come to deep in Kamwenge. They load grain, and grain is sold as grain across the border. And yet our president is talking about value addition. What is value addition when a grain of truck travels from Nairobi to Kamwenge and then they take? And you know what happens? The Kenyans will put value and they'll come and sell to us at a premium price because they know the game.
If I listen to him carefully, now he's preaching value addition on a serious note, the issue of coffee. And you saw members of parliament who had not understood it. He really wanted that we add value onto the coffee so that they don't bring it as Nescafe and at a higher cost. They exploit us on double fronts. You sell your seed and then they bring back the end product and it's sold expensively back to you. And today we have our friend, what's his name? This guy?
Tugume.
Tugume, yes. Tugume, I'm very proud of you because now we are able to produce the Nescafe, the coffee that is end product here in Uganda, and now it's us selling it to the Arabs.
I hope you will be able to get the flavors.
However much Ugandans may say Tugume is not from Butambala or who is Tugume, he's not from Kawempe North and etc. But it is a good step in the right direction for this country.
Allow me, I change gears here. We're going for elections January 15th, yes. January 15th.
Yes.
2026.
Yes.
I'm sure the people of Kawempe North must be on the tenterhooks asking themselves, is it going to be violent again?
Mr. Patrick, before let me if I say something. You know what we are missing in Uganda? We don't have the forward and backward linkages. If we are to benefit from our agricultural produce, we need to establish agro-based factories. Would you earmark a village, a sub-county for growing tomatoes and establish a factory which will consume those tomatoes? We have factories in Uganda which are producing juice. But have you ever witnessed a farmer delivering mangoes, pineapples? I'm talking about raw fruits for purposes of processing juice. No. Those investors, they come with powder. They just come up with their mix and make for us juice. We need those farmers in Uganda to supply factories. That is the solution.
Okay. So the issue of election violence, electoral violence, is at the minds of many people, including myself, because we are all residents of Kampala, and you want to be our leaders. When you are a member of parliament for Kawempe is in Kampala, you are my leader. We would want to know, how do we avoid the chaos of March 2025, not to repeat itself?
It is simple. He who has persuaded the voters, and the voters are willing to give him or her majority vote, let him or her take. That brutality arises when somebody is trying to take what does not belong to him or her.
Corridor. The issue of electoral violence. Kawempe on March 13th looked like a military garrison.
First of all, I want to say very clearly that I call for peace in this forthcoming election, and to say that as candidates, we are victims of this brutality, because we are the candidates. And me particularly being the candidate of the ruling party, many of them will blame that brutality to me as if I have called for it, and yet I'm a victim of it. Having said that, I want to say that brutality doesn't only target those that are aggressors in that situation. It really also targets people who are innocent, bystanders, elderly people, and so forth, children. So we call for peace, but we also I call upon all candidates that we should manage our people, our supporters, because many of us don't take our own children in the battlefronts. No, these are people's children that are taken there. I also call upon all the stakeholders, security, electoral commission, to manage their mandates with a lot of, I would say, patience and cautiousness, that the reflection of violence is bad for investment, if I may even start there. It's bad. Everybody who has a business, their businesses shut down, or even are destroyed, or even are looted during these moments of violence. So I'm very hopeful, and we are in discussion with the stakeholders, I'll tell you that, to make sure that we all manage, we all stakeholders, as the candidates, we play our part with our supporters. They have to respectively accept that there will always be another party and another party and another people's supporters, but also the stakeholders to patiently and cautiously know that when you exchange, for instance, our DPC, Hannington, was stoned on the hand, and many of the soldiers were in Bomba, actually there were 34 that got injured, and this is a fact. I want to thank them that they didn't return this brutality over young people with gunshots, because then you would see a lot of bloodshed. We would now be talking about how much blood was poured in Kawempe North. So for us that are coming through from the by-election, we call for peace, because we know even after this election, we'll go back and be normal people that want to cooperate with each other.
Ismail, on the issue of election violence, how would you handle your supporters?
Yeah, my take is about our supporters. We should talk to them. We should tell them to refrain from violence, so as to make sure that our election is a bit peaceful. And also another thing is there is a tendency of some of the candidates, as in planting in us, their galleys, and then they cause violence, and at the end they can say that, you know what, this part has caused violence, yet It is an inside job.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So we should...
Yesterday, Elias, I was watching something on internet of a young man, a National Unity Party supporter. I think it was somewhere in Luwero. He's high up on the building. He has some kind of a toy gun made up of these yams and whatever, so-called mayuni, and he pretending to be a sniper on top of the building, is minding his space. It could, can be, look at it as a joke, but the insinuation on how that is read and interpreted is bad. Sometimes some of the supporters, you don't have to pretend that you're a dangerous commando, because people will take you like that. And then before you know it, you're in a collusion course. But our time is out, so I'm going to ask you to give us your concluding remark.
I thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Yes.
The challenge is always from the members of the armed forces who are instructed or hired by those candidates. As we talk now, we are still nursing wounds. We are still representing people of Kawempe North in courts of law. These NRM people framed up. They came up with cases. Are you aware that during the visit of President Kyagulanyi in Kawempe North last Monday, over 100 people were arrested and detained without reasonable and probable cause? Imagine.
And they're still in custody?
Yes. They are still there. And when you investigate as a journalist, you will learn that the instructions are to the effect that they should only be granted bail in March 2026 due to the breakdown of our institutions, judicially inclusive. It's a challenge. We should pray for our country. But Mr. Kamara, you have seen me. Like voters in Kawempe North, they are persuaded that Nalukola is the best. That's the message. Vote Nalukola. Turn up in large numbers. That is one of the ways we can protect our vote. I thank you.
Farida, what's going to be a parting shot?
The people of Kawempe North, I want, and the whole nation at large, I want to wish you a very good and happy festive season and end of year. And I wish you a happy and blessed 2026. For those of you who would listen to me last on this show of Patrick Kamara. But I also want to tell Honorable Nalukola to really hold his breath. This Honorable Nambi is coming, and she's winning the seat of Kawempe North by election. She has come from the gullies of hard work and dedication of serving their people. And I'm sure many, many people right now know me even more than they knew me in this by-election. So let him hold his breath. That seat is going to be mine.
Is in your sights?
Yes.
Okay, Ismail. Ismail is like, look at them. They don't know what they're doing. He said, Lord, forgive. He's saying, Lord, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Go for it, Ismail.
Yeah, I just want to tell the people of Kawempe that please let us give these people bloody nose. Let us surprise them by voting for me, and I become your member of parliament. I'm sure I am the best candidate for Kawempe North, because the problem with Kawempe North is about health. And I am a medical personnel, and I specialized in public health and health promotion. So I know how to handle health issues, because even them, I had my opponent here saying that she's going to revive Honorable Segirinya's hospital. And also my brother there also set up a clinic. But that is not the solution. The solution is having a sustainable solution for the constituency.
All right,
that is about lobbying for health centers in our constituency by making sure that each and every parish has a government hospital. That will be a sustainable solution for us, for our constituency.
Thank you, Ismail. Thank you, Farida. Thank you, Elias.
Thank you.
You've been very phenomenal tonight. And sometimes guests like these may look like perhaps they are challenging each other. You may even think that they hate each other, but they don't. It's because they love Kawempe more and they have a different way of thinking how they can serve Kawempe. The people of Kawempe, don't be deceived that to go into violence. These three individuals here, they talk, they greet each other like brothers and sisters. Why would you in Komamboga be fighting amongst yourselves when the three individuals here can shake hands? In fact, at the beginning, I saw Nalukola greeting Farida and Farida responding, Assalamu alaikum and wa alaikum assalam. And I was like, that's a beautiful way, wishing each other peace. So I suppose the people of Kawempe, you are good people, Uganda, we're good people. We can do this without violence. Good night and God bless Uganda.